All right. I've held you up long enough. We're finally going to look at how to create an actual database. And first up, as always, we're going to look at the syntax. How exactly do you create a database? Well, the syntax is nothing simpler than create database and then you give it a name. That's all you have to do. That basic command will create a database for you with all of the defaults. It'll use template 1. It will set all of the same defaults. But if you want to override it, you can. You can override certain things by using the with statement. You can say with a specific owner, because by default, when you create a database, the user that creates the database is the owner of that database. So you can specify a different owner. You can say with a different template, with a different encoding, and all of these other options. And the connection limit is basically what says, hey, how many concurrent connections can I have to this database? Can one user connect at a time? Can two? By default, the connection limit is 100. So all of these different options, let's zoom into them. I'm going to zoom into the subset that is most important for the purposes of this course. When we create a database, we may want to specify a different template. By default, the template is 01. We may want to specify an encoding. By default, the encoding is UTF-8. Never change this. UTF-8 is great. Don't even go play with the other encodings. An encoding is basically the way that characters are going to be stored, the way text is going to be stored. Can you store emojis, for instance? Don't store emojis in your database, please. But just to say, UTF-8 is one of those encodings that allows you to store characters in certain ways, and it has the broadest availability. Please do not change the encoding of your database. It was often the case in the past that the encodings would be regional, like people would choose an encoding that was local to whatever region in the world they were from, but that doesn't really garner international support. UTF-8 supports almost every character set in the world. You can store Arabic, you can store other languages. If you stored in a different encoding, you may miss out on all of those other alphabets, including the emoji alphabet, I guess. And then there's the connection limit. By default, 100. 100 is a lot. But let's say you wanted to narrow that down. You only wanted 2 concurrent connections to a database. That could be, I guess, something you may want to do. It could also be considered a type of security, I guess, if you limit it to a very, very, very small amount, and you had an application that was talking and you only wanted one more connection open for an administrator to go in or whatnot. Although, don't do that, I guess. And then you have the owner. The owner is the current user that creates the database. And that user can specify a different owner if he so pleases. Now, let's look at creating an example database to store courses. That's what we're going to do. I had this little fun idea of actually creating a database to store some courses in. So let's create a database called ZTM, or Zero to Mastery, and we're going to create a very, very, very basic database that's going to store some courses for us. Sound like fun? Well, let's get into it. But before we get into it, I want to zoom in on one more thing here. Database organization. Now, let's go create our database, and then let's hop back here to talk about database organization after. So here we are, back in command line land. And let's do PSQL -u. And let's do Postgres, database Postgres. Just connect there. And let's run a create database command. And let's do ZTM. And as you can see, I already have the database ZTM, but all of you don't yet. Let's get into that. Let's quickly drop this database. And let's create it again. Seems like I'm still connected to my template, so let's exit here. And I'm still connected to it from Valentina Studio, so let me quickly quit that. With an open connection, you can't really do something. So now I've dropped the database, and if I go ahead and I create the database again, now I have the database. What we can see is that the database is over here. So now that I have the database all set up, let's go talk about some organization.